Hey everyone, welcome back to your favorite pirate crew. Today we are going to see all of Luffy's scars. If you would like to see more about One Piece in our channel, please leave your thumbs up and subscribe to join our pirate crew. Scar is the result of an injury to the dermis, usually as a result of an injury or by surgical cut. In addition to the aesthetic impact, the loss of integrity of the skin and subcutaneous tissues facilitate infection, are more vulnerable to blood loss, and decrease sensitivity in the area. According to Wikipedia, that is the definition of a scar. But, you know how the saying goes, scars can actually be a warrior's accessory, and one should wear and print them as symbols of pride, not of shame or defeat. Scars are the symbols of one's struggle. One should not be ashamed of the scars that life has left behind. Scar means that the pain has passed and the wound is closed. It means that the pain has been overcome and a lesson has been learned, allowing one to become stronger and be able to move on. The scar is the tattoo of a triumph to be proud of. You cannot allow your scars to hold you hostage. Scars cannot be allowed to make someone live their life in fear of the future. In truth, you cannot make them go away, for they are part of you and the memories you carry, but they must be seen in a different way, as a sign of strength and struggle, not pain and regret. In this particular case, Luffy seems to take those words to heart, since there are so many visible scars on his body that he doesn't even make a point of hiding them. As the future king of pirates, these scars will act as marks of his famous stories, not necessarily involving great victories, but adventures and situations that will surely be passed on and told from generation to generation. People will talk about his adventures in legends, and his enemies will shrink in fear or may even acknowledge him in respect and bow their heads before everything he faced and went through. But before all that, we can remember a little bit about how Luffy got each of his scars and marks on his body. And that's what we'll talk about in today's video. Scars, as we talked about earlier, can be marks on the body that will bring back memories of moments and feelings spent by their owner. They can be memories of a great and fun journey. They can also be about something that will be there to remind you that something was lost, that you were not strong enough to protect that which was important to you. They can also be proof that you faced some difficulty and overcame it, or proof that you lost and marked your moment of weakness on a certain occasion. Regardless of what situation the scar was made, the fact is that it will always be carried by the person. And from the moment that such an individual is recognized worldwide for some factor, be it good or bad, there will also be his or her stories being spread far and wide. Given this, we can easily imagine that when Luffy finally becomes the great king of pirates, his adventures and heroic moments will be passed on for many, many years as legends and tales of an old time when pirates still existed, sailing the seas bringing terror or saving those who were going through difficult times. Since today we are going to talk about the marks that Luffy has throughout his pirate history, let's just remember that we will be pulling the ones he has until today's date. How about we start by mentioning some that maybe few people remember, but that the most rabid fans can still see. Seriously, but they are so specific, and also so small and kept hidden that few really remember their existence until they are mentioned. Some that were marked and became forgotten, and maybe even disappeared with time because they were so small, are some like the ones caused by Arlong and his bite marks on Luffy's neck, arm and body, those of Doflamingo, Kuro, Crocodile, Enel, and several others that were usually marked thanks to their powers or weapon attacks they used at that moment. However, because they were attacks that left small, almost invisible marks, and probably healed quickly, they didn't appear or get much attention later. However, all of them, despite not appearing frequently, can still be remembered for reminding us of glorious fights that brought us strong emotions and the awakening of absurd powers. So let's mention the two most famous and clear-cut Straw Hat scars. Let's start with the one that has accompanied the character since the beginning of the novel, the scar under his eye. It was made when the protagonist was still a child. At the time, the young boy wanted to go on an adventure with them, but Shanks refused his request several times. Then, seeing that not only the red-haired man, but everyone in Shanks' crew treated him as if he were just a little boy, well, maybe because he really was one, Luffy decided to prove that he was a grown man brave enough to join them. Thus, Luffy took a knife and cut himself in the eye to demonstrate courage, proving once again loud and clear that he was just a silly little boy. This caused a noticeable wound that was later altered and left a lasting scar on his face. One rather interesting thing about this scar on Luffy's face is that it was not shown in the anime. This incident was ignored at the starting point of the story, although it did occur, in the manga, right after the execution of Go D. Roger. Despite this scar of Luffy's is quite striking as it is not only present from the beginning, but it also actually symbolized Luffy's willpower in wanting to become stronger and be someone respectable early on, going so far as to hurt himself to prove it. The last one, the one that is the most explicit and famous of all, and perhaps one of the most painful of all, if not the most painful, is the X-shaped scar that is branded on Luffy's chest. This scar was caused during the Marineford arc, where One Piece brought about the loss of two characters that were much loved, Ace and Whitebeard. Luffy had gone to Marineford, a Navy HQ, to rescue Ace from his imprisonment and eventual execution. Period of fighting. Luffy ended up failing in his mission. Ace had to be the one to protect Luffy, acting as a shield against Akainu, who punched him directly in his chest, piercing him. Ace's death was a great shock not only for us, who witnessed one of the saddest scenes in One Piece, but also for Luffy himself, who suffered a very strong emotional shock to the point of losing consciousness. Fortunately, at this moment, Jinbei came to his rescue and took him in her arms in time to save him also from the attacks of Akainu, who was mad to take the lives of the two pirates at all costs. Akainu started an absurd chase in the middle of the war, even going against the orders of people above him just to kill the Straw Hat. Then, as soon as they reached the port, he used his magma fist to pierce Jinbei's chest, also hitting Luffy in his chest, which gave rise to the famous X-shaped scar. In general, all scars in One Piece are used to represent something, and Luffy's scars were no exception to this. The first one, caused in his childhood, represents his bravery and innocence. He was still a child at the time, but Shanks' influential presence made him want to be recognized to such an extent that he didn't think twice about putting a dagger in his own face. This shows us that from a young age the protagonist was willing to do whatever it took to achieve his dreams. In turn, it also represents his lack of sense of reality, since he thought that because of a wound Shanks would take him on an adventure. Well, we can say that maybe he found the one Shanks himself had as an example, so he tried to replicate it on himself. In any case, it was a silly decision. In contrast, Luffy's other scar, clear as day, the one that marks him on his chest, represents his loss. It was a moment of weakness and a constant reminder of the fact that he was unable to save his brother from death. However, thanks to that, he became able to train himself to become even stronger, to the point where he could defeat by himself, with a little help from Joy Boy, 2, LOL, a Yonkou, and the one they considered, until then, the most powerful of them all. Luffy has become much more powerful, but still stamps his scar with pride. It is because of this painful incident that he was able to learn to use haki and become even more qualified to become the greatest pirate king of all. That's it, my Straw Hat Pirate. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any suggestions for a video, don't forget to comment below, because I'll be reading them all as I always do. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any content from your pirate crew.